All right, welcome back there, the internet. We just wrapped up at Watkins Glen. Uh, Hell of a race. And so, actually, one thing I'm going to start out with because the Xfinity race, I completely missed it. You watched it, right, though, Chris?
Yeah, that was a great finish. Sorry. So, yeah, it was a great finish. It came down a battle between Byron and Ty Gibbs. So they both wrecked out and became a kind of a final battle between Kyle Larson and who was it that ran second? AJ. Funny enough, the
Oh, yeah, huh?
AJ ran second again.
I didn't even think about that till just now. Oh, no.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah, but I mean, the Xfinity race was pretty good. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't as much of a snooze fest as I thought it would be, seeing how some of the road course races were kind of in the beginning of the year, especially with like Sonoma. Was there another road course that we ran? Or was it just Sonoma and Indy?
For Xfinity?
Or just like in general?
In general. Didn't we run Portland this year or no? Portland
Oh,
was
that's
last
right.
year.
They did run Portland.
Yeah, Portland.
That one was kind of a mess,
Yeah.
just because with the rain and everything. So I mean, Watkins Glen did put on a good show. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how the race turned out.
Okay, yeah, because I work on Saturdays, and so I just never get to watch the Saturday races unless they're like at the ass crack of dawn in the morning. And so that's why I didn't get to watch the Xfinity race, but I did watch the final laps of it. I did get a chance to do that, and I will say, I wasn't ready for that for them both to wreck, and like it looks like who was it? Byron was racing him. Ty Gibbs.
Yeah,
It was
yeah. Ty
Byron.
Gibbs and Byron.
Okay, Byron just didn't leave him any room, and so Gibbs bounced off the curb, and so that's what took them both out. Which I don't blame him.
Yeah,
Obviously, Byron's trying to win the
say
race.
the same thing too. Like, he just didn't leave him any space at all.
Yeah, because you're the one who told me that. Then when I saw the replay, I was like, yeah, you're right. So that's what it looks like to me now too that you mention it. Because like obviously I don't blame Byron because he's trying to win the race, and Ty Gibbs is also trying to win the race. It's just one of those unfortunate scenarios where you don't give the guy room, and so you run the chance of him taking you out. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was anybody's fault. It's just,
No.
like you said, one of those racing things where, one guy kind of, runs him a little bit too hard and, he kind of got the short end of the stick and took them both out. So, I mean,
Well,
that's
if
just
it
how it
isn't-
is.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
Right. But yeah, overall, it was a pretty good race. There was an ARCA race on Friday, which I honestly did not know about. So
I didn't know about
I
it
kind of
either.
caught the back end of that. I know Sammy Smith and I forgot who the other guy was, the 17. Taylor Gray, I think.
Maybe
I
that
think
sounds
it's-
right.
Yeah. But they were both running for the pretty much the only two guys that were able to compete for the win. Came down to late race caution, and both him and Sammy Smith were side by side. And I think from what it looked like Taylor Gray overdrove the turn into turn one. But looking at the replay, you saw that Brendan Jones pretty much just like shoved him into Sammy Smith and pretty much took both of them out of the chance of winning the race and pretty much gave him the win. So,
Damn.
yeah. But,
No respect.
Yeah, no respect.
Yay, bumper cars.
Kind of a crappy finish. I mean, it's kind of typical ARCA race, just
Yeah.
bumping people out of the way for the win.
Before we stray too far from ARCA, apparently there was another ARCA race today that was happening during the cup
that
delay.
was that was
I still am not entirely sure what happened there at the end of that race because I'm trying to figure out who the drivers were. But apparently it was the last lap of the race. Like, that was... I don't know if that was the white flag lap or if that was coming to the checkered, but... That's just a classic example of the slower cars need to get out of the way when the leaders are coming, because that was second. That's not even the ARCA brake. That is slow cars that need to get out of the way, because that was second place that ass packed him. Because I was first and second racing for the win, and with all the dust, it's difficult to see through all the dust, and so I don't think he realized that there was a slow car up there, pulled out to try to make a pass, and just creamed into the back of this car.
Yeah. So there was about 15 laps left in the race.
Or 15?
Yeah, he just... actually more than that. Actually,
I was told it was the
25.
last lap from what I saw on Twitter. But
you know what? It might have been the last lap. Yeah, that's probably what happened. But, yeah, I mean, looking at the replay, he was just literally just stopped on the front stretch. And the funny thing is, to me, it's right next to the flag stand. So, nobody threw a yellow or anything like that. So, I mean, I don't know how it works.
He was under power
because there's...
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
No, you're good. I mean, I don't know how it works for ARCA because, I didn't see a lot of, flagmen or, any, lights flashing for, cautions. But, I mean, it it happened right in front of the flagman and, it's... I don't know. It was kind of a really bad situation, but luckily nobody got hurt.
I'm looking at the head-on replay right now, because if you look at the side angle from the TV broadcast, the car was under power and they were running just fine. But then you look at the head-on, it looks like they got loose and hit the wall. It just got stuck in the dirt for a second, and that's why it was stopped. And that's when he got creamed. Yeah, now that I'm looking at it again, because the initial replay that I saw the first time, I didn't look at it a whole lot because the cup race was starting. But it just looked like a slow car in the way. But now that I'm looking at the replay, it looks like he hit the wall, and that's why he was slowing down.
Yeah, it looked like he got a flat. Because I saw, once he hit the wall, he, was dragging dirt on, the splitter.
Yeah, I'm noticing that now. Okay, so, I was... You know what? My statement still stands, though. The slower cars do need to pull out of the way. But now that I'm watching this replay, it doesn't look like that was the case here. This looks like an accident that just happened in a very unfortunate spot.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really bad. I mean, luckily both of them walked out fine, but still kind of scary to see.
Oh god, it was terrifying. That was...
Yeah.
You're never ready to see shit like that. So yeah, like you said, I'm happy all the drivers involved were able to get out. But now that I'm looking at that replay, I'm a little bit more understanding of how that happened. Yeah, because I'm looking at all three angles right now. So yeah, that's just unfortunate timing for everybody involved. Then that wasn't really anybody's fault. That was just it's just hard to see through the dirt.
Yeah. And then we kind of seen that too, when they ran the dirt race in Vegas. They literally had to stop the race and wet it just because there was so much dust just being kicked up.
that was so awful. I had to put my camera away because of all the dust. I was like, I can't take pictures here because there's way too much filth everywhere.
Yeah,
because that's exactly that's what that giant ass pileup was. People in the grandstands were yelling at the flagman because there was a car stopped on the track, and no one was throwing the yellow. Then here come everybody else just creamed into him. It took us a second to realize what was happening because we couldn't see. Where I was sat for the Vegas race, that shit show of a race, we were kind of right behind the flag stand, and there was so much dust you couldn't see anything.
Yeah,
and then suddenly
we were all the way on the top of the grandstands, in turn one.
Oh, okay, yeah, because we were right behind we were in the middle of the grandstands, right behind the flag stand. So we were kind of in a fairly decent spot. But we looked over because all these people were making a fuss down by the fence, and I guess the people down by the fence realized that there was a car stopped on the track. And so they were trying to get the flagman's attention. They were just trying to make noise and stuff, and so everybody else started screaming. By the time everybody else realized what was happening, the wreck had already started because somebody else got out of shape, and it was just a massive pileup. It was horrible, and like no one can see anything. So it's like you don't even know where anyone's sitting. So you're barrel assing down the front stretch full throttle, not realizing there's a car sitting in the middle of the track. So
yeah, that was really bad. But you got anything else for Xfinity or ARCA?
No, that was really all I wanted to say. I was just like, damn.
Yeah, that was really
was
bad.
fucking wild. But going back to the rain in Watkins Glen, I feel like NASCAR made the good move on waiting for it to clear up, because I think I was telling you this while we were watching the race. I was skeptical that it was going to become another COTA race because the rain was coming down so hard you couldn't see, and the puddling everywhere. So I was like, this is going to be COTA Part 2.
Sorry, you cut out there.
Okay, because I was telling you before the race started with all the rain and stuff that it was building up to be a COTA Part 2 unless NASCAR stopped.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly, yeah. I remember that because even like near the bus stop, you couldn't even see like the sky. Like it was starting to fog up really bad. So I mean, they kind of made the right call to kind of delay the race. But a lot of drivers, I wouldn't say a lot, but a good amount of drivers were kind of, complaining and saying like, hey, like, I know we got rain tires, so we should be able to run out there. But I think NASCAR wanted to stop because there was a lot of like puddles and like standstill water on the track.
Yeah.
But I know I think Kimi was like complaining, saying like, well, one way to get rid of it is just to keep running on the track.
Well, running on the track. I don't think he meant go green. I think he meant just keep the cars running. Yeah. Because it becomes a safety concern when you let them go race. Because I think that's why NASCAR decided to stop it, is because there was a visibility and safety issue. Because if you can't see anything and something happens, we're going to have another COTA incident. Because that's what happened with Cole Custer and Martin Truex. Was Truex had just run into the back of somebody who checked up. Cole Custer had no fucking clue because of all the spray. So he's, like I said with the ARCA thing, he just barrel assing down the front stretch, and suddenly he just happens upon Martin Truex. Yeah. So I think that's what they were trying to avoid. It was another COTA situation.
Yeah, I think they learned their lesson. Yeah. As much as they wanted to get it back going as soon as possible, it's kind of for the best.
Yeah, and boy, stage 1, holy shit.
That was a fucking crazy stage.
I mean,
just everything in general. It was just, yeah, that was a great race. Like, just that whole stage in general. Like, you saw side-by-side racing, and it was just so funny, like, too, because towards, like, the end, everybody was, like, switching to slicks, and some people were just staying on the rain tires, but you just saw how much faster they were compared to everybody else. Like, you saw McDowell just, like, blew, who was it? A
few people, but...
It was Suarez. Like, he blew Suarez like, out of the water, just like he was, like, standing still.
Yeah, no, they just fucking blew everyone's doors off. And the amount of times we were 3 and 4 wide going through, like, the turns and stuff, because just trying to get around everybody with the difference on slicks and rain tires. It was stage 1. Holy shit. That was probably the most exciting stage I think I've ever seen since NASCAR has brought in stage racing.
Yeah.
Like, it was 20 laps, and all 20 laps, I was, like, at the edge of my seat, like, holy shit, what's going to happen now? Like, that is, that is probably the single most exciting stage I've ever seen in my life. Opening stage.
Yeah, that was amazing. I would definitely relive that stage, though. That was great.
My God. There are a couple things I had. Usually when we complain about broadcast stuff, it's because of Fox. I haven't had any complaints about NBC so far, or I guess CBS or USA. The only complaint I had today was I feel like I wanted to know what happened to Denny Hamlin, because I know he started toward the back, but after stage 1 he was like a lap down, like way in the back, like 36 a lap down. I was like, how did that happen? And there was no mention of it ever. And then later in the race, the Chase Briscoe incident. Chase Briscoe, who was part of the stage 1 show, we cut back from commercial and he's on pit road with the hood up. No mention of it. They're doing their promos for the Garage Talk or whatever the fuck the show is. And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to do their promo, they're going to come back, and they're going to be like, oh, Chase Briscoe's on pit road with the hood up, we're going to see what's going on. No, nothing. They did their promos, they did their other shit, then we went back to commercial. And then we cut back from that commercial, and guess who's still on pit road? Chase Briscoe. So, like, nothing on Twitter, nothing on the broadcast for Denny Hamlin or Chase Briscoe. And so I was like, what in the world is going on with these two?
Yeah, that was just pure chaos. Like, I don't know. It puzzled me too, because like you said, like I didn't even notice that Denny was like a lap down, and when you pointed that out, I was just like, what's going on? Like, there was no feedback. I didn't even see anything on Twitter. Like nobody was talking about it. Not even Joe Gibbs. Nobody. And then they had the whole Chase Briscoe thing. That was the same thing too. Like I was like literally refreshing my feed, just trying to find something, and you couldn't find anything at all. It was just like. It was just like everybody was just talking about something else.
Yeah, we were both just furiously scrolling, trying to figure out what was going on with Chase Briscoe, because we were under caution too, and it was just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Nobody had anything. So I just thought that's my only complaint so far. Was like, other than that, the broadcast was fantastic. I was trying to figure out what was, because I feel like, okay, the Denny Hamlin thing I can kind of understand, because maybe he just spun, and that's what. He just had a problem getting back on the track or whatever. Maybe that's what happened, how he ended up a lap down. But the Briscoe thing, the man was very clearly on pit road with the hood up. And it was on the camera from when they came back from the commercial break. So that's where I'm like, what's going on here? Like, clearly if there's a contender on pit road with the hood up, there's something going on.
Yeah, it just blew my mind how there was like no communication. As far as like what happened to those two.
Yeah, like woof. Even Bubba Wallace, like I did see on Twitter that he spun and got a flat tire and came to pit road, but you told me he was 7 laps down, and that's why he finished so poorly. So like, what happened there? That he ended up 7. Oh, NASCAR's saying it was a suspension. Okay, I'm looking at the results and saying a suspension. So I guess he broke his suspension.
Yeah.
Woof.
But you didn't know anything about it like until the end of the race.
Until just now when I looked at it.
Yeah.
Speaking of broken suspensions, fucking Todd Gilliland showed up to party, and then the curbing said no.
The curb came by and shut the party down.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, he was doing really well. And then I guess he just launched off one of the curbs the wrong way, and it was enough to break the suspension.
Which I'm kind of surprised, because like I was thinking about that even before the race. Like, if one of the with like the rear end suspension being so fragile, like I wouldn't be wanting to hit those curbs like that hard. But Elliott was just like literally just like launching off of these curbs like nothing.
Everybody was slamming those curbs, and so the fact that I think the only known suspension breaks was Wallace and Gilliland, that's not too bad.
Yeah, but yeah, I was like worried because I'm like, well, as fragile as they are, like there's gonna be a lot of like broken rear axles.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Especially after Gilliland broke his, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, which I was kind of thinking about, like with Tyler Reddick when he was just like wiggling back and forth, like towards the end. I thought maybe like he must have hit the curb like too hard. Because even like on the front stretch when they were coming to the line, he was just like he like wiggled like really hard, like something was wrong with that car.
Yeah, I was gonna say like everyone was wiggling off the corner, but he was wiggling in really weird spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you and I had the same thought with Tyler Reddick, because I think there was like 3 consecutive laps. This man was like all over the place. We were both like, is that car broken the way it's wiggling? Because everyone else would be driving straight, and this man will be fishtailing down the straightaway. And we're just like, is he okay?
I know, it just looks so weird. Like he was just like sliding back and forth.
Yeah, God, it was insane. But something else I want to touch on super fast before we get to the end of the race is fucking Kimi Räikkönen. He was not fucking around today. He showed up, and he showed up real well.
He put on his NASCAR pants.
He really did. And so, like, he ran top 10 most of the day, and he didn't even get crashed until he fell outside the top 10. So, like, he was around the top 10 pretty much all day long until the late cycle of pit stops, and that's when he ended up. Even then, he got crashed out of, what, 13th or 14th or something like that?
Yeah, he was still running pretty decent.
Yeah.
But yeah, he ran a really good race. I mean, I kind of had a lot of expectations from him too, because like even in practice, like he was running like top 15, kind of around that area. Qualifying, he didn't do too hot, but he's still trying to get used to the track. But
Yeah.
once I saw what was kind of crazy was that like during that point in stage 2, he was like running 8th, 9th, consistently. He wasn't just like there for a little bit and then fell off to like 16th, 18th, 20th. He was staying there for quite a while, so he held his ground for quite a few laps. So I'm quite impressed with him. So I honestly would like to see him come back.
I think
for
after
the
the run he
Roval.
had today, he might come back. Yeah, you know what he
Yeah.
might do? There's a chance he'll come back for the Roval. I think because after the performance he put on today, the results obviously aren't going to show it because I think he's being scored in. Where is he? He's being scored as 37th. So obviously the result's going to say he didn't do too hot. But everyone knows that Kimi Räikkönen showed up when he showed up and with a top 10 run in a car that he's never sat in a track that he's unfamiliar with. was running in top 10. So.
And it goes to show you, like, if you're like, I want to compare like Daniel Kvyat and like all the other drivers. It's like, if you have good equipment, you can pull up a good. I mean, you can pull up great performances. Like,
Well, even Joey
Kimi Räikkönen,
Hand
like yeah, Joey Hand too.
was.
I mean,
God,
they're
he was
not.
in
I wouldn't
sixth
say
forever.
I wouldn't say Rick Ware was good, but
Well, no. I'm saying
but-
like Joey Hand. That's something else I want to recognize too. Like Joey Hand ran 6th for pretty much the second half of the race. Was 3rd for a little bit. Where did he spin out of? He spun out of like 6th or 7th, didn't he?
31st.
31st when he spun. Oh yeah, because the pit cycles and stuff. So yeah, I think they just got fucked on a pit cycle. But there was a good amount of time where he was running 6th, and just like Kimi Räikkönen, he held his ground. He did not leave the 6th position. So
Yeah, no, he was like, they were both good.
that
they
and
were-
who's in the 27? Whoever was in the 27 today.
Loris Heisman.
Yeah, Heisman's. He was running really well too, for most of the day,
Mhm.
for bits and pieces of the day until he got stuck in the gravel. But like even then, like they were all running, pretty good today. Like they were all running really well. I think the
Yeah.
only drivers who didn't run very well, I think the only one is actually Kyle Tilley, and Daniel. I cannot pronounce
Kvyat.
his name. Kvyat. Yeah, I think those are the only two that didn't really do too well, because even Rockefeller was running semi decently.
Yeah. The thing with like Daniel Kvyat though, it's like, I think if he's considering like kind of trying out NASCAR, I think he needs to try like with a better team because I mean, the
Well, I mean,
team
there's only
he's
so many
been with-
opportunities.
Yeah, that too. It's hard, but it's the team he's been with. Like they've had a lot of issues. Like the past 2 races he's been in. Like I know the first one when he did the Indy road course, he ran into like mechanical issues. Then they had to cut the race short, and then even today, like he was running for a little bit, and then they had to cut the race short again because they ran into more mechanical issues. But they were able to get the car running again. But that was like, I think after stage 2, so
Yeah. So
kind of
yeah.
lost a lot of ground.
But everybody else ran really well today, actually, and Kimi Räikkönen really, I think, surprised a lot of people, but also didn't surprise a lot of people because I think they were surprised that he was able to run top 10. But I think at the same time, because it's a Trackhouse car, they were kind of expecting him to run well. I don't think they were ready for top 10. So
Yeah,
the same thing with Joey
Yeah, no.
Hand, because Joey Hand's a remarkable road course racer, but even then Rick Ware equipment, I think they were expecting him to run well, but I don't think they were ready for fucking top 5 with him.
yeah, no, I was not expecting. I mean, I was thinking maybe like a top 15 for Raikkonen, but holy shit, like for him to run top 10 was
Yeah, consistently
kind
too.
of blew my mind. Joey Hand too. Like I wasn't expecting him to run that well, but
You didn't even notice until I pointed it out to you. Like I just looked up at the ticker and I saw Joey Hand in 6th, and I just slapped you, and I was like, wow.
I got blessed with Joey Hand.
Yeah. But Let's talk about the finish of the race now really fast. Larson really, because it looked unintentional, because obviously the brake lockup, but then in the interview he said he did what he had to do, so it's like now it's looking intentional, like he ran Elliott up the track, and obviously
Yeah.
Elliott wasn't very happy about it. And then just like the Xfinity race, it was a Larson Allmendinger 1-2.
Yeah, but the thing about too, it's like the playoffs is so it's so critical to get as many points as you can. Like I'm
You
sure
have to choose violence.
you have to like kind of go out there and race for yourself, even though he's his teammate, but he has to think about himself. Because think about it, Elliott has 4 wins. He's pretty much has the regular season championship locked up already.
Yeah.
Um, so that's like additional points for him when he starts the playoffs. Larson doesn't really have that great of a run this season. It's not what he's used to as compared to last year. Like last year, he was just like dominant. He was winning races like left and right. Now this is only his 2nd win. So I mean, for his expectations, it's kind of a shocker because he wants to be able to perform better, but he hasn't had that. Like he's had a lot of bad runs like in the past few weeks. So I think for him, he kind of needed that win to kind of boost his momentum coming to the playoffs. Because when it comes time to the playoffs, it's everything pretty much resets. So
Yeah.
you have to get as many points as you can and hope that you don't run into any issues. So I mean, I don't blame Larson for kind of going out there. I mean, it wasn't like he just like spun him out and like completely took him out.
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't put
He
him
just
through
kinda
the guardrail. He just shoved him up the track to give himself the better angle.
Yeah. I mean, I get why Elliott's mad because I mean this is the 2nd time that he's done it this year. I mean, going back to Auto Club, he he had a good run on Larson, and Larson just pretty much just ran him into the wall. So I mean, I get why he's upset, but he has to understand that he's not going to pull over for Elliott just because he's his teammate. He has to go out there and win. So
Yeah. And that's
That's
true
just-
for everybody too, because that's what opened the door for Allmendinger actually. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Allmendinger looks like he wiggled off the corner too. But I feel like had Allmendinger not wiggled, or if Larson had just overshot just a little bit more, I feel like this would have been an Allmendinger win today. So
yeah. And then, like the thing I wanted to bring up too, it's like back to the Coca-Cola 600 with Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch racing for the lead. Hamlin had a lot more wins compared to Busch. Busch only had like 1 win at the time.
yeah,
I think Hamlin had like two wins. I think.
2 sounds right. Yeah,
Yeah. So he had 2 wins. I mean, he could have let Kyle go by and get the win, but he didn't because he has to look out for himself. He has to get that extra win. He has to,
he's got to pad
get
those
as many
playoff
points as he. Yeah, those playoff points mean a lot. I mean, if you have to beat your teammate, then so be it. So
I mean, that's also what they get paid to do. I mean, just because you're an organizational teammate, you still gotta. You're getting paid to win the race. It's like your job is to go win, whether you're racing a teammate or you're racing a rival. And so I feel like there's lines of respect there too. So like where Hamlin and Busch, they race each other with respect, but obviously, like you said, Hamlin wasn't just gonna pull over and let him go just because he had more wins. It's the same thing today, but I feel like the Hendrick cars have had more contact when it comes to this kind of stuff. They've been actually running into each other. I don't think the other scenarios there have been a ton of contact when teammates are racing each other a lot.
yeah, no, you haven't really seen that a lot. I mean, it's you definitely do see it a lot with them compared to like any other team. I mean, I would say maybe Penske would be the second one because I mean you've seen like Logano and Blaney run into each other a few times, and even like
Yeah, that's true.
Austin Cindric.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Penske boys. They love to.
Yeah.
They're no stranger to the bumper.
Oh yeah. But I feel like the Hendrick team is more like furious with each other when it happens, as to where like if it happens with Penske, they kind of work it over and that's that. But I mean, the thing too is like with Elliott, it's not I mean, I hate to say it, but he has that bad reputation of just kind of, running people over just to get the win. I mean,
There's a few drivers.
2020 at Bristol. 2020 at Bristol, like he ran over Logano and took both themselves out of the chance of winning the race and gave it to Keselowski. So I mean, it's not like he hasn't done it before. He's done something similar in the past, so it's just one of those things. It's part of racing. It sucks for him because he had a really good car, but you know what? It's just how it is.
He and Michael McDowell had some fucking incredible cars. I just feel like McDowell just got screwed on the restarts because he kept getting pushed out of the way. Which I guess it's the same thing. They knew he had a fast car, so they were like, "Fuck, we got to get Michael McDowell out of here." So
exactly, you got to do whatever it takes to get them out from contention to getting the win.
Yeah, and one last thing that I want. Do you have any other notes you wanted to go over?
No, not really.
Okay.
I really don't have anything else to say. But.
All right. So the one thing I want to touch on now, next week we go to Daytona. That is the last race of the regular season, right before the championship cutoff. All eyes are now on that nice fluffy little bubble line. It's a 2-driver fight to see who gets in. Assuming we don't get a new winner. So assuming we get a repeat winner, it is a 2-driver bubble fight between Blaney and Truex. Because Truex isn't necessarily in a must-win situation right now because it's only a 25-point gap. But at the same time, it's a 25-point gap. That's half the fucking field. So
yeah,
in a way, you have to go into Daytona if you're Martin Truex Jr. or Ryan Blaney. Both of those drivers need to go in there with a must-win mentality because...
And somebody else, too.
Yeah. And everybody else, too.
Anybody in the top 30 that does not have a win, they have a shot.
Win.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but assuming we get a repeat winner, and it just comes down to Blaney and Truex's only hope to make the playoffs this year, I feel like, is if Blaney has problems early that he can't bounce back from. Because I feel like if Truex has like a top 5 finish, if Blaney finishes like 15th, he's in the playoffs and Truex isn't. Because I don't think that's not enough of a points cap. And so Martin Truex's only hope is that something happens to Ryan Blaney that he cannot bounce back from. And if you're Ryan Blaney, you need to go to Daytona.
In stage 1.
Yeah, it's got to happen really early. And if you're Martin Truex, fuck, I had a train of thought and it left me. But if you're Martin Truex, no, not Martin Truex. If you're Ryan Blaney, you need to be very conservatively aggressive. You cannot put yourself in a spot where you're going to be in trouble, but you also can't chill in the back for the race. Because he needs to get up there and get those points on Truex and stuff like that. So, like, they're both in a very peculiar spot where they need to just play head games with each other. Because at the end of the day, if we get a repeat winner, only one of them's going in. And if we get a new winner, both of them are going home. So
yeah.
They both need to go in with the must-win mentality because at the end of the race, if it comes down to the end of the race and drivers like Michael McDowell and other people are up front, their mindset has to change to, I need to win this race.
Yeah, that has to change.
Because I'm trying to remember who's up there that hasn't won yet. I threw Michael McDowell out because I know even Eric Almirola, like at the end of the race.
Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace,
Eric Jones, Bubba
Austin
Wallace,
Dillon, Chris Buescher.
All drivers who are really good plate racers.
Ricky Stenhouse.
Yeah, Stenhouse. So like if it comes down to the end of the race and if I'm Ryan Blaney or Martin Truex Jr. and I'm asking who's up in the top 5, top 10, and I'm hearing names like Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace, Michael McDowell, and stuff like that, I'm thinking, oh shit, I need to win this race because if I don't win this race, I'm going home.
Yeah. Because right now Blaney is 5th. If he makes the playoffs, he's 5th in the standings.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr. is sitting outside, 26 points behind. But he's 4th. Wait.
Yeah.
No, okay. Regular season standings: Blaney second, Truex is fourth. But yeah, anybody can win this thing. It's just
I don't.
just gotta have to wait and see.
Yeah, I have yet to decide whether whoever made the decision to put Daytona as the cutoff race is a genius or a mad lad. But definitely a mad lad. Not quite sure about the genius part yet, but I guess we'll have to wait a week to find out.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see just how it plays out.
So it's really interesting how this boils down. So you got any closing thoughts, my guy?
I do not. I'm good to go. So,
all right.
I think we pretty much hit everything that we needed to talk about. So,
yeah. So I guess with that being said, everyone's in a really weird spot, and we're gonna have to go into Daytona to see who's officially gonna be the last driver in the playoffs, because we know who 15 of them are going to be, but we're going to have to figure out who the last one's going to be. So we're going to wrap it up here, and we'll see y'all next week after Daytona.